Welcome back to another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast. First, Coach Derry has returned, the mythical Coach Derry, who is about 1 for 4 on episodes right now. That's about his average. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Good to be back on.
And then we have Coach Michael Westmoreland, assistant coach at Creekside High School in Georgia. Coach, how you doing?
Okay, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. And Coach kind of wanted to come on, and I mean he's a wing T guy at heart, and they run more of a what would you say, a gun multiple offense. That's kind of some wing T concepts.
Hybrid offense. We kind of take concepts from a little bit of everything, and just try to be as multiple and get balls in playmakers' hands.
Okay, and so we're going to try to talk a little bit of power today, but let's start with let's go into your background first on how you ended up at Creekside and kind of your coaching background.
Okay, my coaching background. So, I'm originally from Clayton County, Georgia, Mount Zion High School. I played under Coach Jackie Green, who I learned the wing T from, along with those assistants, Coach Allen Dove, Coach Bob Ryan, my offensive line coach, and my offensive coordinator. From there, I went to Georgia Military. From Georgia Military, I went to the professional life. And then I was coaching in New Mexico for a while. From New Mexico, I came back to Georgia, did a little bit of semi-pro football, youth football, and got into a lot more coaching high school football. I went back to Mount Zion High School to coach. Then from Mount Zion, I went to Creekside under the direction of Maurice Dixon and our head football coach and our assistant head football coach, Rance McQuarrie.
Okay. And kind of going from there, let's kind of head in. I just want to kind of get into it because I just to the point at this point today, just with all of our ACT testing and just kind of mind-numbingly sitting there and quiet just is kind of just driven me insane at this point. First, the obvious question is, why do you run power?
For us, it's identity-based. It's like what I tell our kids. If the Georgia Bulldogs or Atlanta Falcons was to get off of a bus and come to Creekside in the swamp, we'll run power right at them. It's kind of our weight room, our mentality, our preparation. It's kind of became our flagship play in the run game. So it's like some of the expectation is our kids know we're going to hit them in the mouth with power.
Okay.
We really like the identity of it, the multiple formation concepts and how it fits personnels and how many different ways we can get the power and it being gap-based. Being an old, wing T guy, I love gap-based runs and angles. And, with power, I get one puller and a kick-out block, and I get those angles and get the linebackers, and one cut, we're gone.
And honestly, I kind of like the concept of it. I mean, it's obviously different than buckets. But the one thing I always enjoyed about power is it's a less expensive, and I think it's a little bit more efficient play. I think maybe the cutback lanes and the wash maybe isn't as good as buck. But I think the one thing about power, man, you get that fullback that can stick his nose in there and root out that edge player, the force player. Yeah. And it allows our pulling guard just to be nice and tight. I think power is probably my favorite play in all of football. I think wide zone and inside zone splitter starting to grow on me a little bit, but anytime I see power run good with that fullback kicking out, we have a school called Bishop Hartley up here in Columbus, and they run power in like 26 different formations, and it is amazing to watch. I mean, they just get in it and just wreck people. So I guess when you talk power, I disagree with this philosophy, but I understand it. A lot of people still kind of block it like buck, and the rules are gap down backer always. I was always a big double team, so if we got an under front, I called it a grease and a tough. A grease would be guard center combo. Then you have a tight end tackle combo. If you got an over front, we call it a toga. The center block back on the one, and then you had you might have had a tough with it, depending on if you had a 7-tech or whatnot. What are some of the ways you block power? Are you a formation, and this is what we're going to call rule, or are we just going to block down and just wash and say we're better than you?
We're gonna block down. We're trying to get the linebackers and get up the linebackers and work those double teams to linebackers. So we have a lot of communications. So we make sure we take care of the defensive line, cover our gaps, and work the linebackers.
Now, what person, kind of continue that so I can get some more mental picture before we get to the actual film perspective, is what formation, like personnel groupings do you prefer? Are you doing it out of a lot of one tight end, two backs? What is y'all's main preference to run power out of?
We're 20 personnel, 3 receivers, 2 backs, like a sniffer with more of a pistol look to it.
Okay.
Do you have the fullback, the tailback bend to it? So if it's power right, do you have them open up to the left side and bend to the right B gap, or do you have them open up?
It's kind of like our sniffer back would be like his first step would be left. He'll take a left foot step, then work right.
Okay.
With working the head inside.
Okay. All right, and then so. Now, with that, I mean, we mentioned before we came on, you do quite a decent amount of RPOs and other stuff with it. Obviously, RPOs are some of your compliments off of it, but what are your other compliments off your power game? Do you try to make sure you have?
Like our counter comes off of power.
Okay.
When we know linebackers are running, trying to, get out of those and stop power, we also get ISO. The power pass comes off of power. So that's kind of like, when we get power rolling, everything else start rolling. Because to stop power, you got to kind of squeeze it. So now we can get you with buck sweep.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And really, man, and I'm assuming you guys utilize the sniffer back quite well when it comes to power pass. I think the one thing that I'm very fortunate, but a lot of us, where I play, I'm a defensive coordinator up here, and they don't utilize the sniffer back very well in the passing game. And my gosh, man, you get that thing rolling to where when you run it right, and I think it scares me to death because I'm a spill guy. So if my guy's out here wrong arming the sniffer back, and all he has to do is, take one step, kind of like what Gruden called a banana spider, Y2 banana, whatever the hell he calls it. You know what I mean? But big power release to the flat, man. That's one thing that scared me to death, and I can't wait to kind of dive into that because I think you run power good, and there is no one in the flats that are going to be sitting there, taking that legitimately when you're getting gouged 8 yards of carry with power.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. You're right.
Okay, and then sorry, I was jotting down some notes. I'm mentally visual. So strong side, the back side. What are your kind of rules? Tackle, guard, center, guard through tackle.
Okay, so from the back side, if we was running power right, the left tackle rule is gap and hinge. Right, and the left guard rule is skip pull, play side backer. I was on play side backer, skip pull, work through that double team. The center's rule is backside a gap. Mm-hmm. And if he's covered, is still backside. We're gonna block back.
So
right. Yep.
So if let's just say you got a typical good under front, or even a bare front, and the nose is shaded. Well, not even shaded, just a head up nose. Let's just talk. And there's still a backside 3-tech. Would you ever consider blocking back on that 3-tech?
Yeah.
And back that, or okay. And if there's a 1-tech to the power side, are you just going to angle block it, have your guard take him solo, and then the center blocks back on the 3-tech?
Yeah, that's how we will run it. That's exactly how we will run it.
Okay, cool.
So so I guess that point just essentially just becomes down across the board, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I like the simplicity of it too. I mean, I think you make it when you're making it kind of making that nice little wall and making it hard for that. You don't have to. If you make a good enough wall, and it sounds like with your blocking scheme, that backside linebacker by default is blocked because even if you're not blocking him, because there's no lane for him to shoot. You know what I mean? You shut down all the gaps. You got to make him wipe all the way over the top outside the tackle, and by then, power's 5 yards deep.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect, Coach. Now, continue with your rules, because I mean, you were talking backside A with your center. What about your front side guard and tackle? What are your specific rules there?
The front side guard, if he has a 3, it will be a combo to the backside linebacker with the play side tackle. If he's a 2, we're assuming that he's going to be inside, so it'll be down rule for him.
Okay.
If he's a 2 out, he just blocks down on him. The play side tackle rule is down to backer.
Okay.
Yep. And then the B-back, the sniffer would be kick edge, first step left inside, head inside, kick out. If he gets a spill, then he would have to just cave the spill in and stay on that track, and that the backside guard, left guard, will make the adjustment.
Okay. And then why do you, out of curiosity, because I'm always curious why people do certain types of pulls. Why do you guys choose to use the skip pull?
Because it helps our guards kind of keep his eyes up on the backer in which he's on the track to. Because if he turns his shoulders, he'll probably lose him. It'll be, for our bigger guys, it'll be harder for him to do a traditional pull, then turn his shoulders back around to get vertical.
I think when you traditional pull, I think it's really hard for him to stay tight.
Yeah.
Because his momentum is like, because you're not really stepping your crossover step on traditional pull. And by the time you take your third step, you're still kind of flat down the line of scrimmage. And then you have to kind of round up. When you skip pull, by default, you kind of go backward, but then your momentum taking you forward and on top of your eyes. I think it's an expensive pull. But if you know how to teach it, it's not that expensive. I think a lot of coaches do traditional pulling because it's a lot simpler to teach. But I think if you can master square pulling, it changes everything. Now we got away from it because we started running buck after my first couple years. We started transitioning to a little bit more of a buck team. We didn't have the dudes that could run jet efficiently, I think. So we changed into traditional pulling for power because in the old wing tee right there in the back, I see it, the Delaware wing tee, power and buck needs to kind of look the same from a pulling standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Backside. So that's why I would say I absolutely love skip pulling. For a lot of people, and I think it's a good diagram, do you have any kind of teaching points to help with the skip pull?
The one thing I hop on, through drills, is just keeping your shoulders square and your hips square and pre-IDing that linebacker. So we work on drills and work on call numbers and work on really making sure, you get those shoulders square so you can stay tight to the line of scrimmage. So it's just, like footwork ladder drills, back ladder drills, and just making sure those shoulders don't turn. Because if your shoulders turn, it's hard to turn that weight, get that weight going back upfield.
When you skip pull, do you have him read the kind of feel for inside linebackers? So if he's scraping Titus to Titus, are you kicking him out and having the running back run underneath of him? Or if he's sitting and squatting off the last down block, a lot of people, I always taught log or kind of kick out. Are you doing that stuff, or are you just trying to just get a body on him?
We're going to get a body on him.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a body on him. We let the back make the cut, but we're trying to just get a body on him. We want to, kind of get our inside shoulder to his outside shoulder, but we really body for a body. So right here, we're in 20 personnel, 3 receivers, two twins to the top, so 1 receiver to the bottom, and our sniffer right here. So we're going to run power right. So right now we should be making calls. If you see my left guard who's going to do the skip pull is making sure we have good communication and his eyes are pre-snapping and we're getting down in our stance. and we're looking at a 4-3 over. Like the appearance is a 3-4 front, but that's really a defensive end, and we're gonna just let it run right quick.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we're gonna slow it down this time. We're gonna break it down. So we have the quick screen by the receivers at the top of the screen. And then by number 5 at the bottom of the screen, he's running an unblocked quick screen. And if you watch this double team, my right tackle does a great job of getting to this backside linebacker.
Yeah, that was a good job by chipping and then climbing.
Yeah, that's a great combination. And our backside guard, the left guard, has a little slight shoulder turn, but he meets the play side linebacker in the hole. And we get one-on-one with the safety. So, yeah, like we talked about the RPO thing. I was so anti-RPO, but it holds and makes safeties and linebackers accountable. So now we get to run on safeties.
Yeah. Well, you have no support from those two outside guys just because they're dealt with that screen through the boundary.
Yeah. Okay, so then right here we have a tight end, which is really an extra lineman for us. And we're gonna run power right. So now nothing really changes. Our tight end or our extra lineman has, he has that down track. Nothing changes up front.
The double team. I like that. Good hip to hip.
Yep, you gotta work that 3-legged monster, coach. Hip to hip, work the 3-legged monster, eyes up, vertical. So
can't block it any better, man. That combo block that's clinic worthy right there. I mean, you can't get any better than two coming together.
Yep.
Now, how much do you adjust your splits there, or do you give them freedom to adjust their splits for better angles?
I would like for it to be a 3-5 split as the season kind of went along. They kept getting tighter and tighter because I was really honing on. We got to get hip to hip on this double team.
Yeah.
We got to get hip to hip on this double team to work vertical because the year before we wasn't really good at getting the linebackers. So that was something I really harped on all season long. In the off season, I was like, we're going to work to get the linebackers, and we improved. And it showed on film that we improved. But I really want a 3-foot split.
Okay.
Because that's something, all offensive line coaches, I'm no different. We cry and fuss about it all week in practice. Your split's too tight. Your split's too tight.
No, really, coach? Really? Your splits? How many feet is that actually? Oh, God. I know. Like, and it doesn't matter if we're asking them to be wider or tighter. Like, it's that constant battle of, unless you're foot to foot, you're always battling that.
Yeah. And we want, like, if I'm being a butt munch about it, coach, my right guard right here is like, he's too tight to the line of scrimmage. I want his helmet.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to sound old wing tears. I want the helmet looking at the hip of the center.
Yeah.
So we can get our feet in the ground and win with our feet in the ground. We should get at least 3 steps in the ground before we touch a defensive player. But he's kind of tight. He's a younger kid, so he was like really tight. He's so used to being tight. That's something we really harped on all year long. I really would like our tight end right here, the extra lineman. I would like him to be more, instead of being vertical, I would like him to be working that track, that down track to get to the linebacker, because our left guard right here kind of gets in no man's land because his guy's blocked. he just works vertical. It looks great and the hole would happen, but you know, he didn't really, that's his guy. And then we scored, but you know, I was like, we didn't block it right. So we're gonna look at another clip. And this is a different formation. Now we ran power this year out of so many different formations. It would make your head spin. We ran it out of 3-back. We ran it out of a little bit of everything. But this is, you know, like over twins, tight end with over twins. And we're gonna run a quick screen down here, but it's just power right. Yeah, that's great coaching right there, coach. You know, all that good speed. You know,
I just love that he ran onto the track at the end of that. That's.
Yeah, he's a great kid. Great kid, great effort.
All right, let's look at this a little more. Just a little. Now, is your default RPO off this just the screen? Is without tagging anything else? Okay.
Yeah, we have the capability in our system to tag our quick game. We got third level RPOs. Coach Francis, who's our quarterback coach, does a great job with RPOs and all the great stuff because he really taught me the RPO game because I was not an RPO guy before going to Creekside. So, but I love RPOs now because it helps with spacing defenders. They have to honor it. They got to get out there and play it, or else you can burn them with it. Okay. And we run a lot of different versions of power. Like we got jet power, quarterback read power. We get in funky formations, empty and run power from jet read. So we do a lot of that. But me being an O-line guy, I'm very traditional. I like kickouts. I like rapping, and I like getting down here.
Okay. That's a good lead on that skip pull, too. There you go, big boy.
Hey, look at him, man.
Yeah.
Here, scroll that back for me, Coach, because I want to see something.
Okay.
See, this is where I think, I mean, even though that corner's staring hard inside, this is where I think this is where adding this doing this out of 20 and adding that quick screen helps tremendously. Yeah. Like, and this is our great clip of it. Like, I think you've shown two great ones about that is how delayed he is on reacting, and then obviously the corner doesn't take a great angle by any means and wants no part of that. But again, that's a benefit of some of those RPOs.
Yeah.
Yep. That's power, coach. That's our, bread and butter and a lot of other things we do. Because we have a very multi-faceted running game. We run trap, we run buck, we run jet, we run counter, we run inside zone and outside zone. Okay. We have a full-fledged run game. So, but power has been a staple of what we do. Okay. And it's a mentality for us. Something I'm super proud of that's not related to power is, my head coach's first year, they was the worst team. The next year, we won the region championship the very next year. And, that's something that has to do with the mentality of the head coach, the plan of our head coach, on the vision of our head coach. And he's a hit you in the mouth type guy. And power kind of makes all of that, it's a selling point because, we have a state championship banner at our school. We have a very high championship standard. And our kids bought into standards and expectations, as well as meeting those standards and expectations. And part of that was the power. Hit you in the mouth with it. Come straight downhill. Don't run from nothing. If we're in the phone booth, we're gonna hit you.
Now, the last main question I have for you, Coach, is from a personnel standpoint, what do you look for in your tackles, guards, and your center out of this? I mean, because obviously you run multiple run games, but what is your preference so you can get especially your power and your other run game going?
Okay, so my personal preference is I'm a wing T guy, so like I want big tackles, smaller guards, big center. I've been blessed and fortunate at Creekside to have some very athletic, big. Like we have 6'6", we have 6'4", 6'5", across the board. They're very big kids. And if you've seen from that clip, my left guard, who's 6'5", 320 pounds, he can run a little bit. But my preference is like, because Buck Sweep is my favorite play coach. So smaller guards, getting out, running, hitting people, I would prefer that because all the running and, pulling that would happen in, wing T. But for us, we have bigger bodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then actually, I had one more that I thought of while you were talking. Do you guys run any like quarterback power where you add the running back as an additional lead blocker, or just send him out on motion as more of a diversion?
Yeah, we do. We run some quarterback power. We run we have an empty set where the sniffer is really the only back in the backfield with the quarterback, and we run some fake jet with the quarterback power, backside guard wrapping, and sniffer got to kick out the edge.
Okay.
So it gets funky. Our run game is very creative. Our head coach, who doubles as our offensive coordinator, is very innovative in the run game, and his imagination is awesome.
Okay. And Coach Derry, do you have anything else?
No, I mean, I really maybe definitely have you on a different podcast and maybe kind of go in a little bit more specifics. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your EDDs and some of your offensive line drill work. I mean, I think how well Coach Dale, you can kind of see, you know what I mean? The eyes are always in the right spot. Their first steps are clean and crisp. I think you do a heck of a job with them, man. I think that's the best part about power is that I don't think you need dudes to run it. It definitely helps, but when you got dudes and talent that can do what they do, man, it really takes off. And I think the first thing I look at when I'm seeing a power team is, do they tip off? And you can kind of see the guard lean in, but I wouldn't be able to tell from a football field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, your guards are ready to go, locked in. So I think definitely I'd love to hear, even if it's just you and I, man, talk about O-line play, and because I think that's an exceptional, man. So,
yeah.
I like
Coach, it would be an honor, Coach. It would be an honor. I would love to come back and talk some more football, man. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Gap Down Backer show. I watch every episode as much as I can. Even when I do my jogging, I have Gap Down Backer even in the earphones. So, I'm a big fan. Us Wayne T guys, we got to stick together.
Yep.
Amen.
Coaches, well, that was another kind of a little shorter version of a Gap Down Backer podcast. I think we went about 30 minutes. But Coach decided to come on and was willing to talk a little 20 personnel power with us and shows a couple clips. If you're listening or watching the tags for the video or in the bios, if you want to go back to any specific part, contact information for Coach. His Twitter will be in the bio, so you can get a hold of him if you want. Coach Derry as well. Give him a follow. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. That helps everything out. Help everybody find the video so we can contact people. And then also, again, remember there's a Patreon if you want to support the channel. The link for that will be in the bio. You get a bunch of bonus content through there and extra stuff through that. And then that was another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast.